joining me today will be Xavier, whose article was about Jenny and the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. So this is actually just one of the many inventions that we are seeing coming up nowadays that have been created in order to combat pollution in our oceans. Another example that I can think of would be the Great Bubble Barrier that was created in order to combat the pollution in our canals, rivers, and channels around the world, all by using bubbles, by trapping and then lifting the plastic. So Xavier, maybe you can just provide some kind of insights on the severity of the plastic pollution that we see today and the amount of rubbish in our ocean.
So many of us are aware that actually plastic pollution, right, has become one of the most pressing environmental issues, as rapidly increasing production of disposable plastic products, right, has actually overwhelmed the world's ability to deal with them. So plastic waste really causes a lot of harm to marine life, and actually has been a major global environmental concern. So in particular, right, if you guys can think about the recent COVID-19 pandemic, it actually has led to a huge increase in the demand for single-use plastic and actually intensified pressure on this already out of control problem. So a lot of studies have shown, right, that more than 8 million tons of pandemic-associated plastic waste, right, has been generated globally, with more than 25,000 tons entering the global ocean.
So where do these rubbish actually come from? And why are we facing such an increase in the amount of plastics that we see in our oceans nowadays? I remember watching a documentary titled Seaspiracy. I think it's on Netflix. They mentioned commercial fishing to actually be one of the biggest contributors to the marine rubbish.
What I feel, right, is that relative contributions of commercial fishing vessels is not very clear, and it's definitely dependent on the studies done and published. So for myself, right, according to my own research, one FAO report that I read is that land-based sources were the predominant cause of marine debris in coastal areas, while merchant shipping is the key source of sea-based litter. It actually showed that a bulk of the marine rubbish comes from industries or places other than the commercial fishing industry. But there is a general consensus, right, that most plastic in the ocean is likely originated from land. Yeah.
Okay, I actually see where you're coming from, in terms of the merchant shipping. I mean, I think this is especially applicable during the pandemic where we were all stuck at home. We are not entirely strangers to e-commerce websites like Taobao. One thing you mentioned was that there are actually land-based sources of litter. So how do they end up in our oceans and why do they end up there?
Okay, so from the top of my head, right, I actually can think of a few ways. First of all, is if a lot of people throw, for example, all these single-use wrappers, right, from Taobao into trash bins. So instead of recycle bins. So when this plastic actually ends up in landfills, right, it can be blown away because of its lightweight nature, and actually can clutter things like drains and enter the rivers and seas through those systems. And even through everyday small acts, right, such as littering, what most people don't realize, right, is that a lot of the drains actually leads towards the ocean and water bodies, and careless and improper waste disposal, as well as illegal dumping of waste, right. These few ways, right, actually really contribute to this entire plastic pollution problem in our seas. And even down to the small things, so even like washing machines, microfibers, right, from our clothes are actually released into these waterways and through our washing machines. And these all definitely contribute to part of our problem. So if you, a short answer is basically in a lot of daily activities that we do, right, we do contribute a lot of plastic. Yeah.
Back to the topic of cleaning up our oceans, there are some arguments against resources being put in order to clean up open oceans, like the one that Jenny has helped to clean up. So one reason includes potential situations such as bycatch, where actually marine life gets entangled in the nets of the Jenny system. As the net also needs to be pulled by larger ships, this actually requires a lot of fossil fuels that actually end up polluting the air and the climate again, which leads to another reason as to why some scientists actually don't really believe in such large open ocean cleanups like this. So do you think that this group of scientists are right to feel this way?
Okay, Ken. So for in terms of Jenny, right? This system it actually works sort of like giant Pac-Man. So it actually just sweeps up the debris using a screen attached to the floating barrier. And actually, like what you said, definitely since they are pulled by ships, that is also not say fully environmentally friendly because these ships actually require quite a large amount of fossil fuels, which ends up polluting the air and climate. Personally, I think it's a trade-off because if we are aiming to resolve this plastic pollution crisis, right, we also need to keep in mind how much fossil fuels they are using. So additionally, right, this these systems like Jenny, they aren't going to resolve the entire plastic pollution problem. Why? Because one device, right, it will only remove a small fraction. For example, like close to 1% of the total plastic in our oceans, even if it's up to 2050, 21, even given a time frame of around 100 years. So, and even with 200 cleanup devices, right, spread over all the oceans, the impact will still be modest. Why? Because of a few factors such as the speed at which it cleans up, in order to make sure that as little marine life are harmed as possible. And additionally, because plastics are not exactly all gathered in garbage patches, such as the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. Actually, there are a lot of plastic distributed all over the oceans, and especially at varying depths also. So Jenny typically cleans up the plastic that actually floats, but doesn't really do much to address the plastic that sinks. So a lot of scientists, I guess, have both agreed, right, that we cannot fully rely on systems such as Jenny alone, and that removing debris is actually only part of the solution. But personally, right, at the end of the day, right, I believe that this is still helpful with other cleanup efforts. And in fact, right, it actually has raised a lot of awareness from the interest gained from systems like Jenny. And this is really important in drawing attention and awareness, right, to issues such as the plastic pollution crisis. And to me, it also shows a step in the right direction as well. Yeah.
Okay. So Jenny was helmed by a non-profit organization, right? So I guess it is heartening to say that the rise of such non-profit organizations for the environmental related issues actually provide a lot of comfort. But is it safe for us to like solely rely only on the NPOs in order to save the environment? I mean, a lot of us as individuals, we actually most of the time we downplay our own individual contribution to like helping the environment and all that. But personally, I feel that because we have some sort of an influence over somebody else, I think that if we keep up our individual actions in taking like a step towards being more environmentally friendly and all that, I actually think that we might be able to see a chain reaction in terms of becoming more environmentally friendly as like a population. So like what are your thoughts on this?
Okay. Personally, right, I would classify contributions to three main levels. I would say the smallest level of contribution, right, would be on a personal scale, because like you said, we do all contribute towards plastic pollution, right? Maybe on our own personal lives, right, is a very small extent, but collectively, as an entire population, right, it could be hugely tremendous. So personally, I would feel that that is still, despite all that, is still the smallest level of contribution. The second largest, right, will actually be from corporations. Because for example, like through systems like Jenny, right, these systems actually raise awareness towards the public, and it actually contributes to like okay, it not exactly contributes and resolves entirely, but it does raise awareness to the public. However, right, I think the main contributor, right, and the most important level that would assist in resolving this plastic pollution crisis is on the government level. And this can be seen in a lot of countries actually. So close to 60 nations, right, actually have taken steps to reduce single plastics by imposing bans or taxes. And in March, close to quite a number of the European Union's parliament voted to ban the top 10 single-use plastic items, right, found on European beaches by 2021. And this is even seen in other countries as well. San Diego banning styrofoam and drink containers, and even DC banning plastic straw. And even in Singapore, where companies like KFC and McDonald's, right, they have also start using plastic straws. So I definitely agree that good practices and measures, right, can be adopted on an individual level, and collectively it would show a bit of results. But aside from the social awareness and the reduced littering, right, I would say it's highly unlikely that it will be as effective as the government implementing laws and regulations, right, barring companies, corporations, and even the public, right, from using such single-use plastics. And this will definitely be more effective, and compared to individual efforts adopted on a mass scale. Yeah.
Okay. Actually, I think we ran out of time, so that would be my last question. But just want to say thank you so much for sharing with me like these bits of information. I think I managed to pick up quite a bit on especially the magnitude of the pollution issue that we face today, as well as how important NPOs are in helping the environment, provided that, of course, like people who support these NPOs actually do a bit more background research and are not so quick to jump on like hype trains and support blindly.